fucking hands off me.
Pierre Boulle had hit upon the perfect metaphor to explore society's biases, racism, othering, animal cruelty, and inhumanization with the concept of a planet of apes where the humans are the ones being discriminated against. Simply titled Planet of the Apes, Boulle's novel was the reason for the creation of an entire franchise, starting with the 1968 movie of the same name. As it always happens, with big franchises, not all the movies are heavy hitters. One such example that did not make the mark is Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. The film's problems began with the ideation of the script. Changing production executives and increasing creative differences led to a revolving door of writers and directors who all tried their hands at coming up with the perfect script for a befitting remake. Some of the ideas were truly bonkers. A Gladiator Spartacus-style movie but with apes, an ape renaissance, Vedic apes who knew when the world would end, a genetic time bomb, skiing apes that made no sense to anyone, and I am still barely scratching the surface with the ideas that came up. Finally, a script written by Lawrence Connor, Mark Rosenthal, and William Broyles Jr. was finalized, and Gothic director Tim Burton decided to venture out of his genre to bring it to life. The reviews were mostly negative. Critics called the screenwriting shoddy, had no kind words for the twist ending, and lackluster acting. It lacked the oomph the original film had and ended up disappointing a large number of the fans. Despite the reviews, the film was a financial success, and 20th Century Fox didn't mind keeping their promise of developing a sequel. Tim Burton, however, said he would rather jump out of a window than do another Planet of the Apes film. Considering that and the high production costs the movie's makeup and set designs demanded, Fox canceled the sequel. If you ask me, the film was not as bad as they made it seem. It is 120 minutes of pure entertainment with quite an interesting twist at the end that is more similar to Boulle's novel than the 1968 film. I know I am not the only one who holds this opinion, as there were some who were very disappointed with the cancellation of the sequel. The only thing that consoled them was a 6-issue miniseries that acted as the sequel to the Planet of the Apes. Set a few years after Leo Davidson left the planet, the miniseries deals with the aftermath of the rebellion he started. Now let's dive right into this intriguing story.
And wash your hands before dinner.
A quick recap. Since it has been so long since the Planet of the Apes came out, let me give you a quick recap. In 2029, Oberon, the US Air Force space station, trains apes for space. Leo Davidson is one of the trainers, and his favorite chimpanzee is Pericles. Pericles is sent to probe a deadly electromagnetic storm. When he doesn't return, Leo follows him into the storm and lands in 5021 AD on the planet of Ashlar, where intelligent apes enslave humans. Leo is captured by orangutan slave trader Limbo, and he convinces Ari, the daughter of a senator, to buy him. Ari is an outspoken advocate of human rights, much to the chagrin of the senator, General Thade, and Thade's right-hand ape, Colonel Attar, who all hate humans. Leo escapes with Ari and heads to Kalima, the forbidden holy temple where the first ape Samos was born. Thade's father gives him a gun and tells him that the humans once ruled over them before passing away. To Leo's surprise, Kalima is the remains of the Oberon that had crashed while looking for him. He had managed to travel forward in time thanks to the storm, so the Oberon had crashed long before he arrived there. By looking through the logs, he realizes that the ship had been there for millennia, and Samos was an ape on the ship who rapidly evolved and organized a mutiny with other apes. Meanwhile, Thade and Attar's forces attack the humans, which is stopped by the arrival of Pericles' pod. The apes think Samos returned to them as it was prophesied long ago, and stop their attack on Leo. Pericles rushes into Oberon with Thade and Leo following him. Thade tries to fire at Leo with his gun, but Leo, noticing Thade is inside the pilot's deck, closes the automatic door using his fingerprints as soon as he fires. The bullet ricochets and scares Thade into hiding below the deck. Leo quickly explains how the apes came to be to Attar, who refuses to follow Thade's orders anymore, as he and his family had lied to everyone about the truth of Samos. Leo hands Pericles to Ari and asks her to take good care of him before boarding the pod and returning to Earth. Leo crash lands in Washington, D.C., and as he looks up at the Lincoln Memorial, he sees that it is General Thade's memorial. Ape cops and journalists surround him as he realizes he is on an ape-dominated Earth now. The cost of rebellion. We start right in the middle of action as Esau, a human, and Seneca, an ape, run away from the troops of Karum. The two are wanted dead or alive throughout the planet. Seneca is found guilty of insurrection and sedition, while Esau is guilty of, well, being human. The two end up running right into the edge of a cliff, and realizing there is no way out, Esau pulls out his sword to face them. Seneca has a different plan though, and he grabs Esau and jumps off the cliff with a mighty leap. As soon as they land on solid ground, Seneca asks Esau how Karam's troops knew exactly where their equipment was. Esau suspects a mole in their midst, as the troops had avoided all the alarms and sentries, which they wouldn't know how to do if they did not have an informant. Esau accuses one of their ape companions of being the mole, as a human would never sell out his own to an ape. Suddenly, spears and arrows start falling as the apes had reached the cliff and were now attacking them by tracking their voice. The two start running once again and run straight into Karam and his soldiers, who arrest them without wasting any time. 2 days later, a boat of 2 soldiers reach Shame Island, the island where apes who go against the government are imprisoned. A prominent prisoner now is General Attar. The boat, filled with supplies, was supposed to reach the island 3 days ago, but had chosen to prioritize other work. When Attar brings that up, the soldiers demand respect from him, as he is just another convict to them. To teach him a lesson for his impudence, the soldiers hold back most of the baskets of fruit they were supposed to deliver, and throw only one at his feet. As they row back, laughing about Attar's plight, Attar picks up the scattered fruits. In the basket, he finds a waterproof oilcloth that hides a letter for him. The letter contains a cryptic message for him that leads him to his friend Ari, who had disappeared long ago. The next day, in the ape capital, Durkheim, people gather outside the royal court for an execution. Minister Rodi addresses the crowd, telling them that radicals, perverts, and insurrectionists have been terrorizing their peaceful kingdom for a long time by advocating the integration of humans into society as equal. But today, Rodi assures them that they are losing, and as proof they would execute an insurrectionist and his human consort, whom they caught thanks to the cunning of General Karam. As Seneca and Esau are brought there in chains, Seneca points out the unfairness of the situation, as they have the right to a trial. Rodi refuses to hear him out, as Seneca had disrespected his position as a senator of the city and had sided with the humans. Seneca calls him a fool for denying the truth that apes and humans have a common heritage, and thus a common destiny. Rodi has heard enough from the prisoner, as he orders the soldiers to gag him and summons the executioner. The executioner arrives wearing a giant skull as a mask and wielding a sharp broadsword. Meanwhile, soldiers arrive at Shame Island to take over a shift and relieve the previous soldiers. They are shocked to see them all tied up. As they untie them, the captain reveals Attar had built a raft, attacked them while they slept, and crossed over 2 nights ago. The executioner slaps the sword down onto the ropes that bind Esau and Seneca. As they look at him in disbelief, the executioner lifts up the skull to reveal he is Attar, and asks them if they intend to sit dumbfounded the entire day. Rodi screams at the soldiers to stop them, but they are no match for the might of Attar, who is fighting with the help of Esau and Seneca now. The three punch, smash, and hit their way out of there and grab whatever weapons they can. The soldiers act quickly upon Rodi's command and block the exit. Unperturbed, the three jump off the nearest window. Seneca and Attar manage to land on their feet, but Esau, not having the dexterity of an ape, lands on his back. As they leave, Seneca hesitates, as he believes he has a duty to see his insurrection through. Attar refuses to let him stay, as the insurrection has died, and if Seneca stayed, he would die too. Esau agrees, telling his friend that living to fight another day is the best kind of revenge. Seneca is still not on board, as he doesn't know where to go. Attar has an answer to that though, as he tells them that he needs their help to find an old friend. Since adventuring is for the young, Seneca mounts a horse to ride out. No peace for the adventurer. As they ride away, Esau asks why Attar remained in prison on an island for 20 whole years if he could have escaped at any moment. For Attar, it was a matter of honor and loyalty. As long as he was imprisoned and silent, the safety of his friends was guaranteed. Seneca tries to probe further and ask Attar what great crime he committed, but Attar is in no mood to talk about his past. Seneca pushes him anyway, as he is entitled to an explanation now that he decided to risk his life as soon as Attar asked him to. Attar does not have to worry, as the line of questioning dies down as soon as all three see dozens of ape skulls mounted on spears. Seneca sees smoke rising up from a settlement nearby and leads the party to go there. As they approach the settlement, they are rushed inside quickly by the humans and apes there. The urgency does not go unnoticed by the three. Esau also observes that there are no males, humans, or apes aged between 15 and 50. The prelate of the town, Paracelsus, welcomed them with his servant Crow, a female human. Paracelsus assumes the trio are the relief column home sent by the king and is disappointed when Attar tells him that they are merely farmers returning to the north after buying Esau at Derkheim. Paracelsus asks if they saw any of their messengers on the way there, as one of them happened to be his son. As the three had seen no one, Paracelsus declares that they are all doomed. It had begun 3 days ago when a township farther up the valley had been razed. Humans and apes were all butchered and beheaded. Paracelsus and his people had assumed it was the work of the human uprising, but that very night they were proved wrong. Apes attacked them, moving like shadows in the night and gutting every single living thing in the settlement. Crow tells everything she knows to Esau, who considers it poetic justice that apes were killed by apes. Crow is offended at the remark, as she is proud to serve her master and would not mind dying for him. As was tradition, her family had been indentured to the prelate's family for generations. Esau cannot believe that anyone can give themselves to slavery so easily. He asks her whether she has never dreamed of living happily, in peace, with a family of her own. Crow tells him that she was happy until the attack of the other apes. He asks her whether she has never dreamt of leaving the place and going out. Crow doesn't understand the need to, as all her friends and family live there. Attar interrupts their conversation to give Esau a list of things to gather. With just one glance at the list, Esau realizes that they will be preparing to defend the apes. As the sun begins to set, Paracelsus tells Attar that they will be here soon. Attar deduces that they will fight with the sun behind them to blind their opponents, as that is the strategy he would use. By the surety of his voice, Paracelsus realizes that he is no common farmer. He asks Attar if he is an insurrectionist, but Attar fires back whether it matters. Wisely, Paracelsus shuts up. Within seconds, the violent apes show up, and the settlement apes, with the help of Seneca, Esau, and Attar, fight back. Esau stands waiting for them as they breach the barricade, and Crow aids him as well. As the apes try to take down the gate, Attar and Esau throw explosives at them made from gunpowder packed with nails. Taking serious damage, the apes retreat. As everyone tends to the wounded, Seneca examines the dead body of one of the aggressors and is surprised that it is unlike any of the apes he has ever seen. Attar looms over the body and tells him that he is a chimera, the best and worst of the apes. Reality of the myths. Though they fought off the Chimera, none of our three heroes are in the mood to celebrate, as they had now exhausted all their resources. If they showed up once again, they would have nothing but spitballs to fight them with. So Attar decides to surprise them and attack them first. Seneca tries to talk him out of it, telling him he would surely be killed, as he has no army and barely any weapons. Attar replies that it would be honorable to die for a just cause, and rides off without waiting for an answer. Esau, though annoyed by his commitment to being noble, decides to join him with Seneca. As Attar reaches the limits of the settlement, Crow stops him and asks to join him. She wants to avenge her master, who no longer has any heirs or kin due to the Chimera. Attar asks her if she has changed so much since yesterday, when she was proud to be subservient to the apes and obey their every wish. Crow tells him no, so he asks her to obey him and gives her the last of the explosives, with instructions to evacuate everyone, as the warriors would uproot the settlement if Attar failed. Crow, with tears in her eyes, tells him that she needs to do more than just run away, and Attar asks her to pray for them. It is not hard to track down the violent apes, as they have left a trail behind. So they begin following it, and Attar tells them everything he knows about the Chimera. They were a myth used to frighten misbehaving kids, the first lesson they taught them, and a cautionary tale that validated the caste system of the apes. It all began with Hanuman the Wise, who led the three tribes away from the predatory attacks of mankind. They traveled for a year, a month, a week, and a day. Once they were free, Hanuman divided the troops into 3 and then 3 again, and asked them to settle in the farthest corner of the land. Pharaoh, the son of Hanuman, led one of the tribes, and he declared he would build the first and greatest ape city. With the growth of the first city, Pharaoh declared it to be the golden age and abolished all social divisions. He was an orangutan, and he took a gorilla wife. Together they had a son called Kain, the first of the Chimera. Others soon followed Pharaoh's lead, and the Chimera children were sired as a formidable blend of each species, making them the best and the brightest of warriors. Soon their pride turned into arrogance, and to make sure their greatness was not diluted, they began to breed amidst their own ranks for innumerable generations. Soon Chimera kids were born deformed and began to turn on the apes they were supposed to protect. The first city was abandoned, left to the monstrous regiment, and swallowed by the jungle. The story became a myth. As Attar leads the way, he takes them to the first city, or what remains of it. Seneca senses someone watching them, and Attar, who had already clocked it, asks asks him to do nothing and act only on his mark. As they walk in, they see a throne made of ape and human skulls. Suddenly, a rain of arrows and spears begins to fall on them, and an arrow enters Attar's shoulder. Seneca rushes to help him, but Attar repeats his order to do nothing. He pulls out the arrow, breaks his spear as a symbol of truce, and asks the Chimera to face him as is the warrior's way. An orange ape wearing wooden armor and wielding a shiny blade jumps in front of Attar and introduces himself as Sagat, the warlord of the first city. Attar, speaking on behalf of the village, asks him what he expects to gain by attacking simple farmers who pose no threat. Sagat and his army had attacked them as they had encroached on their territory and felled their forest. Attar tells him that it is not the warrior's way to attack the females and the young. Sagat threatens to cut his tongue out for daring to preach to him. Attar had hoped to reason with him, but now saw that there was no choice but to kill him. The two begin fighting viciously, their blades glimmering in the light of the sun. Attar is the undoubtable champion though, as he soon beheads Sagat and demands fealty from the rest of the Chimera, as was instructed by the ancient rites of combats. The Chimera refuse to bow down to a gorilla and attack him. Attar asks Esau and Seneca to handle 50 on the right and left respectively, while he tries to handle the rest. Before the battle can begin, a loud explosion decimates the forces of Chimera, and when Attar turns, he sees Crow shooting at them with her self-fashioned explosive arrows. Asking them to flee, Crow sets off the rest of the explosive. By the time the Chimera free themselves, the villagers will have reached Durkheim and informed the authorities, thereby saving themselves from the wrath of the Chimera. Seneca and the group are not so safe though, as they know they would soon be knee-deep in Karam's troops. The group, now joined by Crow, sets off once again. A ghost in the woods. Lord Scarrock of Altamar is on them quicker than they had hoped, and he attacks Esau, Seneca, Attar, and Crow. Seneca is shot by a tangle gun and falls down. He is almost captured, but Esau shoots at the ape who dared to approach his friend. Seneca frees himself and fiercely fights against Scarrock's apes. Scarrock dismounts to take on Attar himself, hurling abuses at him for loving humans. Attar gives back in kind, punching him while calling him a fascist. He is about to stab him when his guard holds his spear against Attar, demanding Lord Scarrock be let go. Lord Scarrock wants to kill Attar with his own hands and grabs a dagger to do the deed when an arrow hits him from behind. The arrow was sent by Crow, perched on a tree. The apes turn their attention to her, assuming she killed their lord, and chase after her as she escapes. The guard rides after her, yelling at the apes to cut her down, when suddenly a sharp swing of a sword is heard and the guard's head falls away from his neck. An ape whispers that it must be the ghost in the trees, but another one shuts him down. Before they could debate, they are both beheaded too. As more apes are beheaded, Attar wonders who is doing it, and soon he notices a blur. A masked warrior moving so quickly that he is barely visible, cutting down ape after ape. He raises his sword to behead Attar too, but Crow stops him. She asks him who he is, and he replies he is just a guardian, a ghost. As the snowfall increases, he asks them to accompany him as a storm is about to approach. They search for Esau and assume he is dead, as Seneca had seen him fall. Esau had only passed out, and when he awakens, he sees his friends being led away and follows them. Seneca asks the warrior once more about his identity, but he does not say anything more than the fact that he is a ghost. The ghost leads them to a human settlement who scream, "Slaughter the apes!" as soon as they see Seneca and Attar. No country for apes. The men there grow wild, demanding to see the apes put to a fiery death as per the laws of their tribe. Attar attempts to let them know that they are not enemies, but they are too riled up to listen to him. Crow begs for help from the ghost, asking him why he bothered to save her if they were going to kill them all anyway. Without any remorse in his voice, the ghost tells them only the apes will be killed. An axeman is called forward, and he lifts his axe to behead Seneca and Attar, but the axe is knocked out of his hands with a flare. Esau shows himself and tells them that they will need to kill him too if they plan to murder his friends. As he demands his companions be freed, the headman of the settlement, Ewan, pulls out his sword to fulfill Esau's condition. But another man pounces on him, reminding them that their tribal laws also state that humans are not allowed to harm another human. Ewan calls for a tribe meeting, letting the votes decide the fate of the apes. The apes of Altamar regroup and find Lord Scarrock, who had not died as previously believed. One of the apes lets the group know that he found the camp of the forest humans. In the camps, Esau and Crow are fed well before the tribe meeting, while Seneca and Attar are left chained up in the snow outside. Esau and Crow tell them their desire to see a better fate for both species is why they don't mind the company of apes. Ewan tells them about their history. Their ancestors had been enslaved in Altamar, but they rose up in revolt and fled deep into the forests where they have lived ever since. They live like nomads and move camps regularly so that the hunting parties of the apes of Altamar don't find them. Ewan and the tribe tribe believe in tit for tat, and since apes killed any and all humans they found, that was what they did to the apes they found. Crow asks why they let the big ape warrior live. They tell her that he is Kaiser, their guardian, and he is not an ape but a spirit of the forest. Kaiser approaches the chained apes and asks them whether they are warriors. Attar tells him about their previous ranks and that now they are outcasts. He demands to know his identity, but Kaiser repeats that he is a ghost and disappears. The tribal meeting begins with Iwan holding a slave collar worn by their ancestor. It is now a symbol of their liberty, and whoever holds it has the liberty to speak what they want. Iwan wants the apes to be killed, as history has shown them time and time again that there can be no exception. Esau screams out that they have names and is met with glares from the rest. Crow whispers to him that he needs to hold the collar to speak. Esau jumps up and snatches the collar. He tells them that though he understands why their laws exist, he does not agree with them, as there are apes who believe in peaceful coexistence between humans and apes, and that is why he traveled with Seneca and Attar. He asks them not to let their hate blind them, and let the apes live, as they would be out of their hair as soon as the storm clears. Erlin, another tribesman, speaks next. He tells them he sees no possibility of humans and apes ever living together, as whenever they have lived together in the past, it was the humans who suffered. Crow tells him that just because it didn't work the previous time doesn't mean it will fail again. Erlin takes back the collar and tells his fellow men that their ancestors died for their founding principle: never let an ape live. He hands Esau the collar, who only has one thing to say. He tells them that by clinging on to their narrow principle, they are as enslaved as ever. Then voting begins. They bring in a long log of timber, half of which is painted in white and the other half in black. The tribespeople vote by throwing daggers into the wood. The question is, should we kill the apes? Blades in the white zone are for no, while blades in the black end say yes. The voting is going against the apes when they hear the loud blare of Kaiser's warning horn. The Altamar apes had returned with more apes and weapons. Kaiser frees Seneca and Attar, as he needs all the help he can get. To live together or not. As they face the apes of Altamar, Attar is impressed by the fighting style and speed of the ghost. Esau and Crow demand their weapons back from Iwan, as they need every man and woman to save the tribe. Looking at the size of the Altamar troop, Esau asks Iwan to lead the women and children to safety, as the apes are blocking the gate. Iwan gives the job to Erlin, not willing to give up the chance to claim glory. Crow joins the battle and helps Attar avoid the blade of a feisty ape. As the battle rages on, Iwan is impressed and shocked to see apes fighting alongside humans, something he never thought he would live to see. In that moment, Skarak drives his blade into Iwan and kills him. Esau lunges at him to avenge Iwan, but he cannot best the Lord of Altamar. Kaiser rushes to his aid, but Skarak cuts his blade in half, rendering his weapon useless. Attar pushes Skarak off his horse, and telling him that he picked the wrong fight, begins clobbering him. Skarak easily gains the upper hand and is about to stab Attar when Crow shoots an arrow at him yet again. This time, Skarak is not so lucky and he dies immediately. The apes of Altamar retreat. Seneca sees the ghost bleeding and removes his helmet to take a look at all his wounds. As soon as they see an ape inside, the humans of the forest let out a gasp. Kaiser does not let Seneca bind his wounds, as it is too late for him. He tells them that he was cast out by the apes because he believed in tolerance among humans and apes, and since then, he had lived as a ghost in the forest. His secret revealed, Kaiser breathed his last breath. Esau asks the rest of the humans to tell their tribe what they saw today. He urges them to tell their tribe that an ape was protecting them. As the tribesmen leave, Attar tells Seneca, Esau, and Crow that they need to resume their journey, as they still have a long way to go, but they stop first to bury Kaiser and show him the respect he has earned. Verdict. This is what is happening in the Planet of the Apes 2 decades after the events of the film. A planet ravaged by human uprisings, vicious shutdowns, and cruel apes. The 6-issue miniseries does a great job of exploring the different viewpoints on this planet, but personally, I felt that every single story arc was half-baked. The arc of Crow, for instance, underexplains her decision to follow them despite clear orders from Attar. In her introduction, she is very adamant and proud about being a slave to apes and obeying them, but had no problem defying Attar's order. Not to mention, things would have gone terribly for her if her plans had failed. Not only would she put her life into jeopardy and exhaust all the resources, she would also leave her master and his remaining friends with nothing to defend themselves. The same goes for Chimera. A whole lot of lore was built up and Crow blew them up within seconds. That was that. The story lacks any depth and doesn't create the necessary connection a reader needs with the primary characters. It is generic at best and could use more time and structured pacing. The art, on the other hand, is captivating but inconsistent. Seneca's face kept changing throughout the miniseries, and in a story filled with apes, our consistency is key. This is just one man's opinion though. You might like the story after all. So read it and let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, you gotta smash that thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so we can keep making awesome content for you. I will soon be back with more, but until then, goodbye!